Kellen.
Brad, how are you?
I'm pretty good. It's been a weird couple of days, but I'm pretty good. How about you? How you
I,
doing?
I'm fine, Brad. Tell me what weird couple of days. What does that mean?
My phone died a few days ago, so that was a whole thing. I got a new phone. It's all fancy and
Oh
shiny.
boy, I'm so sorry, Brad. I know you loved that flip phone so much.
I want to go back to what was that stupid? It wasn't even really a tablet. The old Nokia, what is it? The N710, whatever the stupid
The block, yeah.
it was called like what, internet device or
It was
something?
an
'Cause
internet device. It was not a
it
phone.
wasn't
It was not a
really a
computer.
phone. Yeah, it was just a weird
It was mostly like RSS
thing.
feeds. Like that's what I remember as.
It was so good. It was terrible, but it was great.
Yeah,
The browser took forever, but it had a browser.
It had a browser, and it was what, like 2003, I think, when that phone came out. I mean, that was
something like
that. Very early. It was past the brick, and it was again. You had a little keyboard. It was a gross device.
Yeah.
Do you know why your phone died?
It just stopped being able to charge. I don't know what the deal was.
Okay.
So it just eventually is like it would only charge to like 60%, and then it would only charge to like 40%, and then it was just constantly having to put it on the charger because it would just die.
Good Lord.
Okay, I guess I'm getting a new phone.
And what phone did you get now, Brad? And you're unhappy with the new fancy phone?
Oh, it's okay. The new phone is fine. It's just setting it all up is a pain in the ass. But it's the Samsung Note 20.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the Note 20 is great.
To fit in my giant hand.
Yeah, man, trust me, I'm the same way. Like, the first time I took one of these pluses in my hand, I'm like, oh, finally, it's a phone that doesn't feel like a toy.
Right, exactly. So I have to have a phone that big so that it doesn't feel like I'm playing with a toy.
Yeah, it's always like,
phone. Ugh. It's not. But it's been mostly good. And, I mean, it's not even that terrible to set it up. Most of the things transfer over, so it's just it's kind of a pain. Log into everything, all that. Too much porn. That's it. It's too much porn on the old phone. The battery.
Sorry, there's no such thing, Carrie. No such thing. No such thing. There's too much porn cookies, but there's no such thing as too much porn.
Sure. I mean, there's only so many hours of the day, so physically speaking, there could be too much porn, but I don't know. It'd be tricky.
Yeah. Well, Brad, I'm happy that your phone dying didn't necessarily completely disrupt you. I know you're so connected and you're such an interactive person. You just need that social interaction so much. I'm glad you survived your phone dying. And
it was like a day and a half of not really having a smartphone. I tell you, it was rough.
Yeah.
But I somehow managed to survive. with only the computer and the laptop and the several tablets and the Kindle and the backup phone.
Yeah.
I managed to survive barely for a day and a half.
Do you think the local government is going to honor you for your sacrifice, or is there any news organizations who contact you who are interested in telling your story?
Not yet. Although I did just take the census.
The Canadian census?
Earlier today, the Canadian census, yeah. Still alive, still in the same house. That was about it. It wasn't very specific, really.
Okay.
Still married, yeah. Okay.
There you go. There
wasn't a lot of details.
The American census happened last year, and it was very silly to be like, "We're doing the census during COVID." This makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
This is exactly how America should be doing this.
I mean, people are home, right?
People are home. Yes, you're absolutely right. People were home, but I don't think a lot of people wanted to answer the door.
Sure, there is that. I mean, it was digital at least. I just went online and filled in.
Well, there you go. There you go. Canada ahead of the curve that way. America still door to door. Let me pen and paper this, employing hundreds and thousands of postgraduate college students who have nothing better to do with their lives. Sure. It's the American dream, Brad.
I think technically they might still do that, like if you don't fill it in by a certain date. I'm not sure. I've never had someone come to the door, I don't think, Brad, for the census. But
it's the best.
Theoretically, they could.
Here in our neighborhood, there is a church that's actually in a different state who sends missionaries to our neighborhood and they knock on the door and they say, "Hey, just curious, I wanted to know if you knew if you're going to heaven or not," which is a great question. It's an awesome opening question to knock on someone's door and ask that. And then they say, "Hey, we've got a bus that comes to your neighborhood that'll take you to our church. It's just right down the street." And then you look at the address and you're like, "Yeah, that's in Indiana. That's an hour and a half away." But
that's basically right down the street.
It's right down the street.
It's very spread out.
But they come every single month. They knock on the door, and I always answer the phone. I answer the phone. I always answer the door, and I'm always like, "Hey, how's it going? I do know I'm going to heaven. Yes, thank you very much.
Sure,
thank you very, very much."
All right, I just talked to the guy last week. I'm definitely in for heaven.
I'm in. No, I'm good. I'm good. No, I know. I know I'm good. How do I know? I just know. I got a feeling about it. I got a good feeling about it. It's real good.
It's good.
So, well, Brad, we usually sit here and we ask questions to each other. Are you interested in participating in that ritual again?
I mean, I guess we could. When you put it that way, I guess
we could. I mean, the people are here for us talking about stuff. It's nothing about specific questions. It's just, are we talking about stuff?
It's true. All right. Would you like a question?
I would love a question, Brad. Thank you.
All right. So earlier today, I was reminded that TV exists.
Oh, right. TV. I forgot about TV.
Yeah. And so I was wondering, what is your favorite sketch comedy show?
Oh, it would have to be Kids in the Hall. Kids in the Hall was
Kids in the Hall's great.
Easily my favorite. It was the sketch show that impacted me the most. I've met all the kids in person. I got to work with Kevin. He came to Chicago for a couple of years and would do some like workshops, and then we put on a show, and that was really great. I've got to meet Scott a couple times, and he did a Buddy Cole show on my birthday a few years ago. That was just like the best, absolute best.
Mr. Show also good.
Mr. Show would be my second favorite. I love Mr. Show. I think Mr. Show is absolutely fantastic, but I still think Kids of the Hall, in terms of my style of comedy, the stuff that I like, is always going to be up there. I do think The State is great, but I don't know if The State is good. Because I go back and I watch The State and I say to myself, this was funny to me at some time. And there are still some very funny sketches, but most of the sketches in The State fail because they were so like, let's talk about today. It was so relevant. It was so much about, and that was the reason why The State couldn't get on DVD or Blu-ray for a while, because there were so many songs that were tied to MTV that MTV couldn't get the rights to, so they couldn't put it out. And so they couldn't put out the whole show until years and years and years later. It's a great show. It's a fantastic show. Yeah, so it'd be Mr. Show. Excuse me, it'd be Kids in the Hall, Mr. Show. I guess Python. Python be up there?
Python to me is almost like a cleanser of skit shows because it's so weirdly constructed.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it just sort of resets my brain to enjoy comedy again.
Yes.
Rather than like being entertaining for its own right. I mean, a lot of the sketches are great; they're classic, but it feels more like a reset than entertainment.
And everything goes back to Mr. Show, right? Like, it's the same way of, like, you can look at video games and say every video game goes back to chess. Like, you can look at any video game and say, well, this is just chess in a different sort of mode, right? Every sketch show goes back to Python and sort of is able to iterate and be inspired by. And you can see The State, Upright Citizens Brigade. You can see all this. Upright Citizens Brigade, another great one. But Upright Citizens Brigade is also one of those shows where you're like, is this a sketch show or is this a sitcom? Like, it's like the way that they would do these little sketches, but the way that they would put the whole show together always felt more like a sitcom. And then everyone in that show goes off and does all this sitcom stuff, and they're all wildly famous and fantastic, except for Matt Besser, who's a real asshole. But that's a whole nother story. So, yeah, I'm trying to think. Are there other ones? Exit 57. Did you ever watch Exit 57?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Exit 57 is where Colbert and Sedaris meet, and everybody who is on Strangers with Candy, that's where they meet. And they meet here in Chicago, and they go and they film, and they go to Los Angeles, and they make this show called Exit 57, which is so out there, is so weird.
I don't think I've seen this.
Yeah, it's very hard. I think you can definitely go on YouTube and find some clips. It's definitely proto Strangers with Candy, though. Like, if you like Strangers with Candy, then Exit 57 is right up your alley because it's so weird, and it's the whole cast. So it's really, really fantastic. Yeah. Check out Exit 57, folks.
Okay.
There you go. What about you, Brad? Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite sketch comedy show?
I don't know. Probably my favorite would be A Bit of Fry and Laurie. Which is very Python-esque.
Yeah.
It's Python in the lens of the 80s, right?
Yeah. God, that's another great one. Oh, man. Now I'm going to have to really think about this, Brad, right? Because then I start thinking about the British stuff. I start thinking about League of Gentlemen. I start thinking about...
all of the Mitchell and Webb stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even just for the existence of the "Are We the Baddies?" sketch,
yes,
Mitchell
Are We the
Baddies have made their
good.
worth in comedy.
It's so good. Those guys are so smart. They're so fucking smart. Yeah,
man. Now I want to watch Peep Show, even though it's not a sketch comedy show. Just
it's definitely not. But that's the thing. It's like Peep Show sort of acts as a sketch comedy show, right? And then like what the all the there's another sketch comedy show that comes out of that sort of that era as well that eventually turns into not Gareth. What the fuck is his name? Why am I Simon Pegg? Like all Simon Pegg's like he was in a little sketch comedy show and then he goes and films his little weird show and then they go off and film the rest of that. That's the vaguest thing I've ever fucking said. Simon Pegg films a sketch comedy show. He does another show and then he goes and does this other thing. Great stuff, Kellen. Really, really great.
It's like people know who Simon Pegg is. I'm sure it's.
I'm sure they do. Yeah, man. That's the tough thing because there's so many great British sketch comedy shows as well. They're so good. Would you consider Letterkenny a sketch comedy show, or is that a sitcom?
Yes, both.
Yes, yes. Because Letterkenny
it's definitely sketch-like.
It's sketch-like. It's like
it's
Little
just
Britain.
The sketch is 22 minutes long.
Yes,
instead of
exactly.
Being several sketches.
It's long-form sketch comedy. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's definitely constructed as a sketch. The world building doesn't matter. The consistency of anything doesn't matter except for the characters who are all exaggerated in sketch comedy. So it's definitely rubbing up against sketch comedy at the very least.
Oh yes. Well, I mean that's the same thing with League of Gentlemen. There's plenty of shows that are like that sort of like take like a town and sort of construct something around it that way. So it's like they're iterating on where other people have been that way, which is always fun.
Right. And they have recurring bits instead of recurring jokes.
Yeah.
Like where they'll just do the same bit again for like 2 or 3 minutes for the new episode. So yeah, it definitely has that sketch feel to it a lot of the time. It's great. So
it's great. Boy, Brad, I could talk about sketch comedy all night long. I can talk about how bad sketch comedy is. I can talk about how terrible sketch comedy is in certain sort of forms. But instead, we're going to ask another question.
Okay.
Brad, do you think, and I think I know the answer to this, but again, we're gonna ask a question anyways. Do you think psychic abilities exist?
I do not.
And why, Brad? For the sake of conversation, why do you not believe that I might one day have the power to move things with my mind or hear another person's thoughts or be able to speak to someone with my mind? Why can't I do that, Brad?
Well, that's worded interestingly. I don't think it's so much that you can't necessarily possibly
so they
do
exist?
that.
Is that what you're saying, Brad? Or
but
there
hasn't been evidence of it so far, so it seems unlikely. Given that, like, a lot of people have made those types of claims over the last few thousand years, and so far none of them seem to be very provable.
None of them, no.
Which is not a great sign for its existence. Doesn't necessarily mean no one could potentially at some point. Brains are weird. I'm not going to, claim full knowledge. And I mean, maybe some aliens do. There could be all kinds of possibilities.
Who knows?
But I have not seen any humans prove that they have any such powers.
But
a lot of people have tried. So
a lot of people have tried, and all those people. You know what they do, Brad? They go on TV. They put themselves out there, and I think if we know anything about superpowered people, like the X-Men, for example, they don't want to be on TV. They're going to be as far back in the shadows as possible, reading people's brains. Moving things around. They're fighting their shadow war with alien races out in space. They're dealing with invaders who are performing and acting like us. There's a whole secret war happening. And that's the thing, Brad. When I think about the people who go on television and claim to be I'm starting a conspiracy theory, by the way. That's what I'm literally trying to do. When I think about people getting on stage and doing this, these are people who are, again, it's the cup game, just a distraction from the real people who can do it.
Sure. You get enough people that are clearly fake in the public eye, and people will just brush off anything that actually might be real. I get you.
Absolutely, Brad. Think of the amount of time that the CIA has spent trying to research ways in which of having mind control, being able to read people's minds, being able to communicate with people's minds that way. Again, CIA, a bunch of spooks, right? There, you should never trust the CIA, that sort of way.
Sure.
But they believe that it's possible through enough LSD, Brad. Sure. Maybe we can tap into something else. Maybe. So, Brad.
I mean, Uri Geller made his career on getting the government to fund mockumentaries about him.
Absolutely. So here's my question, Brad. If tomorrow that was possible, what would your psychic ability you would want to have be, and why?
Say telekinesis, move stuff with my mind. That would be pretty cool.
Why telekinesis? Just want to I want to get the remote. Like, what about it? What about
it? Pure laziness. I want the remote. I want a drink out of the fridge that I can see, but I don't want to get up off.
I want to go to toilet.
Exactly. Plus, you could just use it to mess with people, freak people out, move stuff around behind them. They're not paying attention. It would just be fun.
I would rather, but this is the difference between you and me. I would want to be able to talk to people. I'd want to be able to say, "Hey, Brad, I can read your mind right now."
See, I don't think I want to know what's in people's minds that much.
I would love it. I would love to be able to see what's in people's minds and then have someone talk to me. And then I'm reading their mind and they're like, God damn this. I just fucking hate.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, cool.
Why does he keep doing that thing with his teeth or what? Just some random thing.
It's God, his teeth are enormous. His face is bigger than a horse. How does this guy?
I don't think I would do well having that level of access, given how poorly I do in social situations already. I mean, maybe it would be helpful too. I mean, there's balance, but I don't think it would be great.
That's a good point, Brad. That's a very, very good point. Telekinesis, I think the problem if I had telekinesis, I would use it for such evil things. Maybe not evil. I use it for naughty things, right? Sure. Telekinesis, I would be moving people's chairs or moving their drink, or when someone goes to grab their straw, I'd move the straw around. Just little chaotic things to just fuck with people enough where they're like, what the hell is going on here?
Right.
I wouldn't mind reading people's minds. I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's voluntary, if I could turn it off, then maybe that would be okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's not like Superman's hearing where I hear everything. I could be like, right. I'm going to read Brad's mind right now, and that would, I guess, my mind, I'd be like, oh, I want to read what Brad's top of mind, what is his conscious brain is thinking, the sort of loud monkey. What is that saying? I'm like, great. What's what Brad's subconscious brain is thinking? What's the sort of deep sub level of what is Brad really, really afraid of thinking about? Yeah.
Sure. And then you'd never speak to me again.
No, I would still talk to you. I would just be like,
Yeah, I imagine I would very quickly decide that it's not worth reading most people's minds because I don't actually want to know.
Oh, see, I
But it
do.
would be interesting for sure in
I would
short
love
bursts.
to. I would love to be able to read people's minds. I would love to. I would absolutely love to.
A lot of
Yeah.
people are choosing mind reading over here, Michelle. Yeah.
Well, what are there other things you can do with your mind, right? I mean, like I'm thinking about the X-Men, right? I'm thinking about like, all right, well, we got Xavier, he can read minds, he can speak to people. We've got Jean Grey, she can
I
move
mean,
things.
Xavier can put thoughts in people's heads, though. That's a whole other level.
That's a whole other shit, right? Like that, I think that's ethically and morally wrong to be like, I'm going to incept you.
But reading them is fine.
Okay, let's talk about this, Brad. Let's talk about this. If, for example, your phone is open and I see you get a text message and I just look down and I see what the text message is, are we saying that's ethically wrong? Is that morally wrong for me to read that?
I would say probably not in most situations.
In most situations.
But people's minds are not open phones. At the very least, they have a lock that you are choosing to bypass.
Okay, Brad. Okay. So you're saying that like people's minds is like their journal and I shouldn't break into somebody's room and read their journal? That's what you're saying, Brad?
Exactly. Except maybe their live journal. You know, there's
exactly. If someone's going to blog and I just go out and I read their blog, well, okay, here we go, Brad. It's exactly that. It's just that's all it is. I'm just reading their blog that's in their mind, and their subconscious is the blog that they don't know that their mind writes at night, and their deep subconscious is the blog that their younger self writes and sends off on their RSS feed, right?
Sure, it's like their Tumblr feed by a different username, so no one can find it.
Nobody knows. Yeah. And then their top of mind is just their Twitter, their TikTok, their Instagram feed, and that's just all the public stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know, Kellen. We've talked a few times about consent, and that's iffy at best.
Okay, but hold on one second. Okay. If we're going to talk about consent, Brad, you're telling me that you have to consensually get someone's consent for how you're going to move their body and do different things that way?
Not saying move somebody else's body. You could. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something.
Brad. See, this is literally why we are the good omens, right? Like there are times where you're the good angel and I'm the bad devil, and this is what we do. We go back and forth in terms of, well, what this and this. And tonight I just happen to be in this sort of realm, right? Yes. Yeah. Very, 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 very silly.
I mean, it would be either way. It would be very interesting, but
very.
It comes with a lot of ethical issues. People are terrible enough as it is. Can you imagine people? But like some people have superpowers. Oh,
well, that's what The Boys is about, right? That's the whole concept of The Boys, right?
Almost all of them are terrible.
Just terrible. Oh boy. We've had we've got some good questions so far, Brad. I'm loving this. You got another one for us?
Sure. Let's see. After that, how do I want to?
Yeah. It's like, all right, that was supposed to be a light question, and now we're having this ethical and moral conversation about the consent of reading someone's mind.
I mean, how much privacy are you willing to sacrifice for safety?
For me?
Yeah, for you. Very, very sort of classic ethical privacy question. You know, the TSA style, like how much, privacy are you willing to give up for the safety of yourself and others?
Okay. All right. So, all right, let's get into this, right? If I truly believed in security theater, right? If I truly believed that having cameras in my house and the TSA and cameras everywhere, I have to actually believe that the government, the local and federal government, can actually enact safety, right? I, for one, don't believe that they can. I don't believe that there are systems that allow that to be in place. So I don't believe that we should be giving up our safety to allow for security theater to take place that way. That would be my answer there. I guess I feel like it would be very hard for me to actually believe that giving up freedoms for safety could result in true safety, as opposed to, and again, this is very 1984, right? Like the theater of us believing that we're all safe, when in reality we're all just sort of in our own social prison, and that there isn't an actual threat. We're all just so afraid of each other that we stay in line and nobody moves and does anything strange. Right? Was that your question, or were you just
yeah? No, that's my question. I figure why not? Yeah, security theater and all of that is very silly to me. The very concept of the restrictions that the TSA and other similar security situations put on people that just make no sense when you look into it at all is very strange to me.
What happens in Canada, Brad? I mean, like
it's pretty similar to the U.S. for the most part.
I guess there's sometimes like, well, I've gone to other countries, and obviously it's all sort of universal this way. There's not countries where you're going to where you're walking to the gate, though it would be wonderful to be able to take someone to the airport, walk them to the gate, say goodnight, say goodbye, wave to them, go and eat expensive salad or sandwich or whatever in the restaurant, wherever you're doing at an airport. I would love to be able to do that, but we can't because people believe we can't. Like, it's sort of silly, this sort of concept of like, well, everyone's going to do this, and now I've got like the TSA pre-check so I can go through where they're like, no, you don't have to take off your shoes, you don't have to do that. Being like, all right, well, I paid $85 and now I have a privilege to not take off my shoes and my belt, because they're like, no, this guy's fine. This guy's not going to blow anything up. We're all fine. But they don't know. They don't know what this guy wants to do with his mind, right?
They're not worried about your psychic powers yet. The fools. Yeah, no, it's very similar around here. I've got the same thing with Nexus or whatever. Paid the money to not stand in quite so many lines. And breeze through a lot of things, and it's just very silly.
Yeah. It's very, very silly to me because it doesn't. And again, I don't want to. I don't want to say it's not a big deal. We're all taking. I don't want to be that guy, right? Like, there are ways in which security can help people, right? There is a way of being like, hey, metal detectors to make sure people aren't bringing guns into, federal buildings are important, right? Like, there are ways in which we're able to do this. But like, I specifically would travel when I think about all the crazy stuff that sort of happens. When I was in Hong Kong, boy, talk about it. Paranoid. In Hong Kong, you walk into this the airport, and you're in this long hallway where you're walking through it. And I saw the hallway and I was like, this makes no sense what this is. And then I start walking through and I'm like, oh, every 10 feet there's another ring of cameras, and that's all it's doing is just like taking all the photos of you so they can get every angle, see everything that's going on, and being like, where's all this going? Like, I've just gone off an airplane. I'm not even to customs yet. This is all just looking at me as I'm coming into this country.
Craziness.
It's a little scary.
But you just can't let people on a plane with like 5 ounces of liquid.
It's a real shame, Brad. It's a real shame that I can't take my Costco-sized version of shampoo on an airplane with me.
Right?
This is not what America was founded on, Brad. This is not what Thomas Jefferson didn't ride across the Delaware on the back of a horse so that you, Brad, in your fascist state could tell me how I'm going to run my life, okay?
I think we had different history books, but okay, that's fine.
I was in class. I knew what was going on.
Sure.
Brad, I've got this kind of goes into it. These are 2 questions I feel that way. Brad, let's pretend you're a mad scientist.
Okay.
What scientific experiment would you run if money and ethics weren't an issue?
Oof. That's there's a lot of options there.
Yeah, Brad.
With the money, you can find money if ethics aren't a problem. The ethics are the
ethics. That's the thing, Brad. Are you going to go rapture on us, and you're going to be making giant mech suits with little girls that emotionally control them? What are you going to do?
I don't know, man. There would probably be a lot of brain-computer interface stuff and other implants, eye replacement implants and stuff. The things that are very difficult to get an ethics board to sign off on trials for. A lot of biotech things, I think.
And is that just because you are part cyborg?
It's because I want them. I want them. I want cyborg eyes. I want them, Kellen. I want to be able to think text messages to people.
So,
yeah. See, that would be a consent. They would have to receive a text message and want to receive it, right? It's not.
Well, hold on. That's not okay. All right. Let's back up for a second. Are you saying that if I text you out of the blue, you believe that, and I've got your number for a friend, right? I'm talking to Carrie, and Carrie has your number, and I get your number from Carrie, and I text you. You're saying that if I text you randomly, that you've not consented to my text messages, and so that is me violating your consent?
No, I would say that if I'm receiving text messages from random strangers, it's because that's how my notifications are set. So that's fine.
I love it.
It's like if someone gets angry at you because you texted or called and they were sleeping or whatever, that just means that they didn't set their notifications properly. That's on them.
That's on them.
They have the technology to set their boundaries for when they're receiving things like that. And if they haven't done that, that's not your problem.
Okay. So, opinion. Brett, how do you feel about Carrie giving out your number, though? I mean, is that consensual? Would you be upset at her for giving out your number willy-nilly to anybody who asked? If she's just out on the street saying, hey, like, I've got this, hey, for a good time, call this number. And she's just every bar in town, she's writing the number down, places, handing it to people. Are we in an ethical or consensual issue at this point?
I mean, my number is pretty public as it is. So I probably wouldn't mind all that much personally. But if she was like scrawling it on a bathroom wall, for a good time.
For a good time.
That might be a little bit more awkward than usual. So that would probably irk me slightly. But if she's just like giving it to you or someone else, like I probably don't care all that much.
That's fine. What if she was playing matchmaker, Brad? What if she was like, Well, you're not married. You're not married.
She knows I'm married, so that would be pretty awkward.
Okay, so
if I wasn't,
we're pretending now that Carrie is playing matchmaker, right? And she's like, "Ooh, little Brad. Oh, and little Melinda. We should put them together, and maybe they could." And then you just this random person saying, "Hey, I've heard all about you. You're a handsome man. I love the mustache. I'm very into cybernetics. One." Can you install some of these cybernetics in my body? 2, you want to get to second base tonight?
Sure. I just got a divorce, and you're already my type. Is that Melinda is not a random name, I'm sure, Kellen.
Full disclosure, Melinda is the name of my couples therapist. So that's why it's definitely not a random name.
I definitely thought that was a Bill Gates getting a divorce reference.
See, that's why. See, that maybe my brain did do that and I didn't realize that. But maybe that is the case. Can we just talk about that, Brad? What do you think? Sure. What's going on between the two of them? What's the deal?
I don't know. It's very strange.
It's very
strange. 25 plus years? I'm not sure.
Absolutely.
It's been a while. So that's weird situation.
Is this one of those situations where like the money's too good? Is this like, hey, we should split because we can do different things? Or is this like Bill Gates is like, I wanted COVID. I wanted to put those microchips in people. And Melinda was like, you can't do that.
Right. That's what breaks them apart. You just can't put these
microchips in people.
It's not
Bill?
Right. Damn it, Bill. No, I don't know. That's a very strange situation.
Like
I'm sure one or both of them will get a book deal, and it will all be explained.
The whole
at some
thing.
Point.
Book deal.
But
I'm sure that Melinda will be on Apple TV talking about getting her groove back, and it'll be The Bachelor with Melinda Gates, and it'll be all of these available men and women who are there trying to woo her. That's a show I would watch. It's a show I would 100% watch.
Sure. Any idea what her maiden name is? I don't remember.
I think it's Belinda. I think that's why she married.
I was coming up with like Gates related reality TV like titles of like, wait, no, that wouldn't be that. I mean, maybe she'll keep the name just for the recognition. I'm not sure, but
or maybe it's Bill. Maybe
like gates are open.
Gates are open. Oh, that's a good. That's Brad. This is why you are a genius TV show writer, and that's about Bill Gates. And it's the gates are open, or gates are open.
Sure. When life closes a door, it opens windows. Yeah. Just go really terrible.
That is 100% the show he would pitch, and the studio execs would be like,
Sure, that's really dumb.
We see what you did there, Bill.
We can fix that.
We can fix that.
We have a team of writers. They'll come up with an actual good name.
We're good. I just don't know if that's going to work for us, Bill.
Please leave this writer's room right now. We'll call you when the script is ready.
Oh, Brad, that's so good. Like when Bezos and his wife split up, that made sense. It was like, Bezos is such a goofy goober. It was like, yeah, this makes sense, right?
Yeah, they seem to be on the same page. They have a foundation.
Look at the foundation. They're like out there.
So I don't know.
Maybe
clearly there was some drama or something.
But, there has to be something that's going on, right? And that's the silliest thing about it. Where I'm like, there's almost a power couple thing where I don't understand. Being like, there has to be there's too many lawyers. There's too many big assets involved in this for it to just be like, the spark wasn't there anymore. Like
maybe. I mean, who knows?
I don't know, man. If you're literally the second richest person, if you're married to that person, that means you're directed to those assets. I don't think the spark has been there for a while. I think you're like, hey, we're business partners. So it's the business is splitting. So that's the weird part about it.
Yeah, it's very strange. But I'm sure more details will surface because
of course
someone will make money off of the existence of those details. So
TMZ reports Bill Gates interested in having sex with an Apple TV. Melinda not into it.
Maybe Melinda got an iPhone and the whole thing.
Oh, what if that's Melinda? Bill found Melinda with an old AirPod Touch, and he was like, "You're not using the Zune," and they had a huge blowout about the Zune, right?
Sure. So he found her secret second phone.
Oh,
it's an Apple.
It's an Apple,
and that's the problem.
I hate this company.
There's going to be a TV movie about that.
Oh, I hope so. I hope Aaron Sorkin writes and then fails to direct a movie all about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bill Gates dialogue written by Aaron Sorkin would be a very strange thing.
Very strange. Very, very. That's what's so hard about The Social Network. It's like Mark does not talk this way, right? This is. There's no way Mark is such a fucking weirdo. There's no way he talks this way. But Sorkin makes him be this little puppet. It's like, no, none of this was this cool.
Weird.
It's very great.
Aaron Sorkin is a very strange thing to me. Like I very much, usually at least, enjoy Aaron Sorkin, like the dialogue that he creates, but it is not real in any sense.
No.
So using it in like the context of a real story or with people that actually exist, it's very strange.
Yeah, that's why the Chicago 7 that just came out, I was like, ugh, I don't want to see him. I want to see him to create fictional worlds and do stuff with this. That's why The West Wing's so good. That's why Newsroom is so good. Or Sports Room.
Newsroom.
Newsroom, yeah. That's why that. But then he had the sports show before West Wing. What was that? Sports.
Sports Center.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. I'm the only person who knows the show. It's so good. But
you know me in sports, Kellen. I
love sports. It's so good. Felicity Huffman's on the show. It's fantastic. Great show. Sports Night is the name of the show. Sports Night. Great show. If you've never seen Sports Night. Sports Night is excellent because the first 6 episodes have a laugh track and then they get rid of the laugh track and the show gets infinitely better.
Excellent. Most shows would, I think. Yeah.
But seeing
done well, at least.
Aaron Sorkin's dialogue with a laugh track is the most avant-garde experience you could have.
That would be strange. I don't
very strange.
I don't know how that would go.
That's
very weird.
Brad, whose turn is it to ask a question?
I don't know. I'm just going to ask one. What's your favorite holiday, Kellen?
What is my favorite holiday? That would be the holiday at the end of October, celebrated here in the United States of America, known as Halloween. I love Halloween. I love everything about Halloween. I love how big and how weird it is. I don't care how commercial it is. Halloween's the best. If you got kids, Halloween's the best. If you're an adult, Halloween's the best. If you don't enjoy Halloween, and again, Brad, you might not enjoy Halloween. That's fine. But I think you're missing out because Halloween is a grand, grand time.
I agree. Halloween is great.
Yeah.
I love me some Halloween. Even though it's been a while since I've fully celebrated. Now the kid is getting old enough to have some real Halloween fun, and it's gonna get better again. Yeah.
Getting dressed up with the kids, getting the kids dressed up, taking them out, meeting other parents. That's one of the really, really cool things about Chicago is Chicago, despite the fact that it's this big city, it's all these little neighborhoods, and all the neighborhoods have great Halloween events for kids, for adults, and they'll just shut down whole streets. And so it's just like a big party. So all the parents are walking around with red cups and drinking, having a good time. Kids are getting candy. Everyone's having a blast. It's great. Halloween's fantastic. Love Halloween.
It's great fun.
Great fun.
And I don't even have to deal with all the Spirit Halloween stores because they don't pop up around here like they do down there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind a Spirit Halloween store because it's fun to kind of walk in and just to be like, look at all this shit. Look at all of this. It's just gross. Right. But it's so cool as well. You're like, oh man, look at that. I'm going to buy a bloody machete. This is great. I didn't know I needed this.
Sure.
Brad, the day after Halloween here in the United States, there's a lot of candy that's for sale. And I feel bad about this, Brad. Does Canada celebrate Halloween on the same day, or is it okay, all right, it's the same time? No. I never know if it's Canadian Halloween is in July, right?
It's tomorrow.
Kellen, didn't you know that it's May the 4th be with you, Cinco de Mayo, and May 6th, Canadian Halloween. Right?
Sure. Yeah, no, it's not like Thanksgiving, thankfully, and it is on the same day.
Yes. Well, that's good. That's very, very good.
It gets confusing otherwise. All the shifting around of holidays. Thankfully, there's not too many that are different.
Exactly. I'm sure your Independence Day is different. I'm sure your do you have a President's Day?
We call it something different, but we do a holiday on the same day. I'm sure for business reasons, we might as well just do it on the same day.
Yeah. What are other American holidays? Your Independence Day is different than ours. Halloween is different than ours. Christmas is the same, but you guys celebrate Boxing Day, which is great. Gotta love Boxing Day.
So many good sales.
Do you have a Flag Day?
I don't think so.
It's a really bad holiday.
If we do, I definitely don't celebrate it, apparently, because I can't think of what it would be.
There you go. I know here in Chicago, because there's so many Catholics here, we celebrate Fat Tuesday pretty hard. Sure. It's not as hard as New Orleans, but people rage and they eat punchkis and they drink and they eat a lot of food that way. What about in Canada? Is there any sort of religious related holidays that sort of line up that way besides Christmas?
We do Fat Tuesday up here too. So I don't know how intensely, depending on the area, but there's plenty of religious folk up here. And technically, we don't have a separation of church and state, so
there you go.
National holidays.
They can be. Brad, Aerith Girl has asked, explaining Boxing Day.
Okay, it's just the day after Christmas when you have all the great sales.
But Brad, it is a holdover of your formal imperial lords. Boxing Day is the day where the help gets to have Christmas, right? The help has to work on Christmas. So Boxing Day is the day you send the help to the stores to return all the gifts you don't want, and then they get to have the day off. That's how I understood.
I mean, that's what it would be, but Kellen, capitalism exists. So they still have to work now.
They still technically have
Everyone still has to work. In fact, more people probably have to work
on Boxing Day than
on Christmas. It's very strange.
Yeah, I'm so confused why America doesn't have Boxing Day. Like, in terms of like another day to buy shit, it seems so American, right?
Sure. You would think by now, late stage capitalism would have produced a sub holiday after every single holiday,
right?
To capitalize on all of the sales and extra crap, that just needs to go.
It just got to go. We got to get this shit out, right?
You can't toss up the Christmas stuff until the Thanksgiving stuff is out. Mm-hmm. So the Thanksgiving sale goes on until that stuff is gone, and then we can put the Christmas. Like a threat from capitalism. Like, this isn't going to start until you buy all this shit.
These TVs need to get out of the store. All right.
I'm very surprised that doesn't happen more often already.
Yeah. Brad. If you could choose to only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
One meal? Probably breakfast. Give me some waffles.
Perfect. So what is that meal? Is it waffles?
Waffles and bacon.
Waffles and bacon. What sort of waffle? Are we talking about a Belgian waffle? We're talking about a frozen waffle. Give me some details on the waffle. Give me some details on the bacon. What are you drinking?
Like a good Belgian waffle.
Big Belgian waffle.
With real maple syrup.
Real maple syrup. Made in Canada.
I mean, Vermont has good maple syrup too.
They do.
I'm not going to be one of those people, but it's got to be real maple syrup.
Real maple syrup.
Not like, like maple flavored corn syrup stuff.
No.
And just nice crispy bacon.
How thick are we talking? How thin? Walk me through this, Brad. I want to start getting hungry. Talk me through this meal.
I am not a foodie in any stretch of the imagination. Bacon, just bacon.
Bacon. It could be the cheapest, shittiest bacon as long as it's crisp?
Pretty much for me, yes. If it's crispy, it's fine, I'm sure. It's pretty good. You know what? Maybe even some ice cream on that Belgian waffle.
Oh, some ice cream? One meal for the rest of your life, and you're saying Belgian waffle, bacon, ice cream. What sort of ice cream on that Belgian waffle? Again, there's maple syrup on that waffle as well.
There's maple syrup on that.
Is there butter on the waffle? And on top of the ice cream?
No butter.
Brad.
Vanilla ice cream with chocolate chips.
Brad, let me walk you through something. Okay, this is what you do.
Okay.
You get a waffle. You butter that waffle up with so much butter. You just take that waffle, you eat it with your hands, so you can just just lick that butter off your hands. That's the way to do it. Same thing with pancakes. Don't eat pancakes with a fork. Eat with your hands so you can lick the butter off. So good. So good. So good.
So I'm not a huge butter person. I don't mind butter. But I don't I like buttering bread and stuff. Like, I just eat the bread usually. I don't even bother with butter. I know I'm weird. That makes me weird. I know. I get it.
Just butter. That's what I'm saying. Like I understand people like maple syrup. I don't mind some maple syrup on the side.
Aerith
Get a little dip it. Yes. Sure. Butter is life, Brad. Butter.
And I'm getting yelled at.
Yes. Finally, people are turning on Brad on the butter specifically. They're finally like, you just eat dry bread. You're just like, I'm going to put the bread in the toaster. I'm going to take it out.
I mean, toast I would probably butter.
Who eats bread with butter if it's not toasted?
I don't know. Lots of people. People are buttering buns and stuff all the damn time.
I have to ask the
I didn't say like a bagel. I'll just eat a bagel.
A bagel is fine.
Nothing on it.
But a bagel is different, right? A bagel is made differently. Are we saying? Okay, I really need to ask this question. Are we saying? I want to ask the chat this. Has anybody ever taken a piece of cold bread? And I'm not talking about a roll. I'm not talking about a dinner roll. I'm talking about you take a piece of bread that is sliced and you put butter on it. Yes or no? I need to know. I need to know from the chat.
Hard. I'm getting yelled at in the chat. Hard. It's fine.
The people are shocked, Brad.
Cold fucking bagel. That's right. A cold, boring ass fucking bagel.
I had no idea this was going to happen, Brad.
See now for pasta. So you're eating bread with pasta.
But that's different, right?
The most, yeah.
That's different. That's very, very different. That's very different, right? If you're having bread with pasta, that's different, right? A dinner roll, having a baguette and taking it, that's different, right? True. I'm talking about a piece of sliced bread that you would then put in the toaster, place in the toaster or the toaster oven if you're fancy. I'm saying, has anybody ever done that or seen a significant other ever done that? Again, I'm not seeing anybody say yes. Oh, Brad. Yeah. Oh, Brad, this is so funny. I love this. So we're putting ice cream on the waffle or not yet?
I would put it right on the waffle. Yeah.
Right on the waffle. Okay.
And then you just maple syrup on top.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
What about you? Now that we're back on track.
Yeah, back on track, man.
Favorite meal?
Favorite meal
for the rest of your life.
Again, scrambled eggs. Delicious. Sure. Love scrambled eggs. Toast. I like sourdough. I like a hearty wheat bread. I like a rye bread. I'll take a bagel. I'll take an English muffin. Gotta be toasted though. Butter. Maybe.
Neither do we. It's fine.
Brooks is here. Hey. That's lovely. Welcome, Brooks. We're talking about a meal that you would eat for the rest of your life.
And I'm getting yelled at. You're
not getting yelled at, Brad. People are just shocked. People are literally shocked. Your squad, your cult members, it's the first time where you've issued a decree to say, by the way, folks, here in the cult.
Bound to happen eventually.
No butter on the compound, and people are literally freaking out.
I would never do that to people. People can eat whatever the fuck they want. What do I care?
But Brad, people want to eat like you.
If pineapple on pizza didn't ruin our friendship, Kellen, I'm not going to care if people want to put butter on things.
Okay, so back to my meal. Scrambled eggs, some toast. I like a little fruit, like some strawberries, maybe some blueberries, maybe like a mandarin orange, a sumo orange, something nice that way, kind of bright that way. Maybe some fried potatoes on the side as well. That would be tasty. A little crunch that way, right?
Sure.
Put a little Old Bay on that. That would be nice. I know this is controversial, but I do enjoy sausage more than bacon.
Okay.
And I like a sausage patty more than a sausage link. I like a little patty action that way. I'm trying to decide if I would want to go with the healthy route and say I'd want like sort of like a veggie patty, or if I'd want to go with oh my gosh.
Okay.
Well, this is why Brooks is living his best life. Fried eggs. Oh my gosh, that sounds delicious.
Does.
Again, I'm going to have bread, and there's going to be butter on the bread. That's all that matters. Eggs, scrambled. I like scrambled eggs a lot. That's really, really tasty.
Scrambled eggs.
Some fruit. It's a little potato out that way. Maybe a breakfast meat. Who knows? Maybe it's a veggie substitute. But that'd be the way. Because breakfast. If I had breakfast for every single meal, I would never get tired of it. I would never ever get tired of it.
Ditto.
I'm struggling because a part of me wants to, when we're done with the show, walk into the kitchen and make myself some scrambled eggs and eat scrambled eggs afterwards.
Well, you know what, Kellen? You are an adult.
I am an adult.
Technically, no one will probably try to stop you.
No one will stop me, except for myself, because I don't need to eat scrambled eggs and toast at 11 o'clock at night. I don't need to. I want to.
Sometimes it's about desire and not requirement.
Oh, boy, Brad. Isn't that... that's the oh boy, so good. Do you got a question for me, Brad?
A problem with queso.
Whoa.
Like
we're talking about
intervention,
like a lactose intolerance problem. Like,
I don't know. It's very complicated. She has made several TikToks, I remember, about eating leftover queso.
She has. I remember.
Maybe we need an intervention for Aerith Girl and her queso problem, or just go and help her.
I think we support
queso, because queso is delicious.
Queso is delicious. Queso is absolutely delicious. I like me some queso.
Yeah, intervention. That's
intervention.
That's what I thought.
There it is. Yeah. And Brooks agrees with me. Sausage over bacon every day. There we are.
Crazy.
But again, I think it's because Brooks and I are both from the Pacific Northwest, so it has that sort of vibe. You know, you're in the Pacific Northwest, you're eating a lot of sausage, some links, some patties, some good stuff that way. So maybe that's just what it is. Oof, boy, now I am hungry. I am fucking hungry, Brad. And Carrie's in the chat talking about chips and salsa the whole time. No one's on board on the chips and salsa. Carrie, chips and salsa is not a meal. It's an appetizer, right? It's not a meal.
So if you're having the same meal every day, maybe chips and salsa is what carries you through the rest of the time. That's your single snack that you get, that you can just snack on through the whole rest of the day. Kellen?
Yes, Brad.
If you had intro music, what song or what kind of music would it be? You came into a room and just some music started to play.
Oh, boy. Oh God. Intro music. Okay. What do I want people to feel when I walk into a room?
Sure. Now you could go like dramatic superhero intro music, or you could go like wrestler style. Like, what's your intro song?
Yeah.
What vibe are you going for?
I probably would want something. Oh golly. Symphonic. It would probably be more like sort of, I wouldn't go as far as sort of like John Williams, but there would be sort of it wouldn't be a rock song. It wouldn't be sort of an electronic song. It would be symphonic in nature in terms of timpani, oboe, harps, cello. I don't know if there's a piece of music that exists yet, Brad, that would capture it perfectly, but I think it would be dramatic in nature and then sort of comical. So maybe sort of more Baroque that way, where we'd have sort of some like sort of high pianos, like, bling, I don't really know. Yeah, I mean, thank you, Jen. I think most people would assume that I would walk into a room and I would
Sure. Sure. I could see that.
Yeah, that would be a thing. God, Brett, I don't know. That's such a tough question to wrap my head around about like intro music. Like anytime I'm walking in, I would love to have like somebody like score my life. Like if I could have Trent Reznor score my life, and like I walk into a room and it's like, dun, dun. Da, da, da. Like, and then it gets really like sort of like that would be really, really great. But I don't know. Or it's porn music. That would be cool, right? Like
Sure.
that would be very nice.
I'd probably go sort of weirdly kind of in between something like Mark Riboulet, like improvised techno stuff that he's like describing what's going on, but it's still
Brad is
like
walking in the room right now.
Like
in
a
the
fun
room
techno
right now.
Like that would be good.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that, Brad.
I set the alarm audio that he made for a TikTok as my alarm recently. It's so
that's
good.
good. His stuff is so funny and weird. I don't know if in 20 years we're going to hear his stuff and we're going to be like, we were all dumb back then. This was not good.
I'm not
but
sure.
It was funny for a time.
But I'm enjoying it right now.
Right now.
So
right now. Brad.
Yeah.
Simple question for you. How would you conquer the world?
Methodically, and not in a way that I would admit on a public podcast.
So give us your like sea level. I know you're already in the process of doing it. What's like the throwaway, like the first pitch that you kind of came up with where you're like, well, I'm not going to do that. That's dumb. We're going to do the next one, and then we're going to do the one after that because that's going to be the good one.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
That's tricky.
Right. How does Brad conquer the world?
It's very specific wording.
Conquer
the world.
Again, when I saw your TikTok about hypothetical questions, I said to myself, this is not a hypothetical question. This is not, I'm not asking you to like,
if you were to have conquered the world in 20 years, how did you do it?
What's a unicorn's favorite song to work out to, Brad?
I would probably go like the Palpatine route, get into politics.
Oh, okay.
Slowly sort of integrate myself into the political scene and then convince other people that they want me in charge more than they want the current problems that I'm also causing in the background.
Okay. But we're talking about local and we talk about federal, but how do you conquer the rest of the world, Brad? I mean, you can't, there's no emperor, right? You at a certain point
get high enough in the political scene that I'm essentially functioning as the leader of Canada, and then I finally unite North America as one thing, and then I have the American military industrial complex, so that the rest is pretty easy. At that point, as far as strong arming people, you just have to do it slightly strategically.
Would there be an aspect of we don't have colonies, but we use capitalism as colonization, where you would allow sort of industries to go into other countries and then you would control those industries? Like, walk me through that then. I want to get to the point, Brad, where I'm like, I see you controlling the world. How do you get into China? How do you get into China? How if you're conquering the world, how do you solve the China problem? I've got the answer.
You know what?
I know I got the answer. You're not going to like it, but I got the answer for you.
You know what? Once I am, running or at least pulling enough of the strings in all of the governments in North America, I just sell off the American government to China.
Wow.
I don't have to take over China. I have to take over the world.
Wow. Okay. So you sell off. You're saying.
So then I'm pulling the strings in China and the U.S. China controls parts of whatever they want. They could have the whole country. It doesn't matter to me because I'm going to be controlling the whole thing. The pieces don't matter when you're at that scale by then.
At that point, they're just pawns. They're not. Yeah. They're not rooks. They're not knights. They're just pawns.
I don't care about North American culture being the one that takes over. I'll be in charge, right? So the fact that China gets to buy them out, the U.S. is forced to actually pay off their debts to China by selling itself off. And then I got, lots of places to spread into politics through China, and then the rest will just have to fall into place, I guess, as those pieces get so big that the rest of the world, like, you can take on our currency or you can not have currency anymore, I guess, because there's too much of us, and then everyone has to join in or they're not going to survive.
Yeah. What would the currency be? Would you be using Brad bucks?
Dogecoin.
Dogecoin. All right.
Doge.
I was going to say, let's work with something that works right now.
It's got to be Dogecoin.
It's got to be Dogecoin. Absolutely. What about places like New Zealand, Australia, Oceania is very, very difficult to sort of conquer that way, because they are sort of insular, siloed sort of economies that way. How could you potentially go back to those countries and potentially bring them into the fold?
Well, if I'm controlling China and North America, and presumably at least parts of Europe by then, just by the nature of having the U.S. military industrial complex sort of at my beck and call, I would probably just economically squeeze them out. Join, or you don't get shipments from anywhere. If you can be self-contained, cool, you're not our problem. But if you want anything interact from these places with the rest of the planet, then you got to play ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the moment the China and the U.S. problem is solved, then you control the rest of the world's economy at that point. Yeah.
You can just dictate who is going to be part of the world economy or not at that point.
How do you solve the energy problem then at that point, right? Like if OPEC sees what you're doing, they're like, nope, we're not playing ball. We don't want to be owned. We don't want to be doing stuff. How does Brad, the world emperor, solve energy crisis at this place?
Well, if
the current energy prices,
if
right?
I am personally controlling the governments at that level, then just decent parts of China and a couple of states just start popping up solar farms that take up like half the state and power the rest of the country.
Yeah. So you just go say, hey, by the way, we're off of fossil fuels by New Year's, and every dollar, every energy is spent in cell towers and giant, like Utah is, everyone in Utah, you're gone. Everyone in Arizona, you're gone. Everyone in Wyoming, you're gone, because
you get a free place to live in the state of your choosing. That state is no longer suitable for habitation because it is the power source.
Yeah. I love it, Brad. I'm all for it. And for folks who are here who don't believe that Brad is a good leader because he doesn't put butter on his bread, I'm telling you that the future is going to be bright, despite the fact that there will not be bread in Brad's future world. I love it. I absolutely love it.
There can be bread. I don't care. It's very subjective. That's not where my personal line is. What people can do.
Well, Brad, I love that this is your third plan. This is not the best plan. This is your worst plan, because this is a good plan. This is a good plan. I like this idea. But boy, I mean, if this is the third plan, the first plan is going to be even better, and I can't wait to see you ascend and be the God Emperor of the human race.
Sure. See you in 2028. I mean,
you called it, folks. Butter is illegal 2029. Start burying it in your backyard. I'm telling you, find all the butter you can, start putting it in your mattress, and then burying it in the backyard, because when Brad finally takes over, there's no more butter.
That would be a weird political campaign. Like that's like a chicken in every pot, except for it's no more butter.
No more butter. People are like, what's the butter thing about? Why is it so weird?
Would almost be almost like a weird marketing strategy. Yes. Like what the? It's just signs that say, out with butter.
Out with butter. Yeah, it's like butter, /butter, and people are like,
right? Like, what is going on?
Is butter a euphemism for something? It's like, no, it's not. I literally am talking about getting. It's not only is it illegal, we're shutting down every butter farm. If you are caught with butter, it's a lifetime in jail. You're sent to Saskatchewan to braid people's hair for the rest of your life. I don't know. I don't know what sort of weird gulag you have in your future, Brad.
Sure. I just see all kinds of parody political campaigns now related to like, I can't believe it's not butter. Things like that. So there's so many opportunities there for very, very stupid political.
It's really, really stupid. It's really, really good. I love it. Brad, we've got about 20 minutes. You got a question for us we can kind of dig into, or do we want to go rapid fire with a bunch of the little ones?
I got one that I don't know might.
Maybe it'll be. We'll see how far it gets us. We'll see how far.
Who knows? What's something that exists currently that you think really, really needs to be modernized?
Oh, something that exists currently that needs to be.
There's a lot of like modernization happens in very short bursts, and then things stay very similar for a long time. What do you think is really due for a modernization?
There's a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of weird stuff where it's like, this is the best we got. Like, I know this is like, this doesn't affect me, right? This is like when I think about like how taxes, perfect.
Also, she comments a separate comment of taxes.
Oh, taxes, yes.
And then also she is going to stop.
Yes,
I don't believe her.
And I'm not trying to earn any favor of the people here in the chat, but I feel like contraception in general could easily be modernized. This idea of, oh well, women need to be on birth control, and men, I hate wearing a condom. It's so difficult. Like this whole idea of like population control, I think it will happen in our lifetime. I think there will be something that like, but I think about the amount of women that I've known who've had terrible side effects of birth control, who've been on all different types of things. They've had extremely painful IUDs installed. Like, it's just like so stupid that like we throw fucking medicine at all of this and nothing changes. And men just get to sit back and be like, well, I got a loaded gun in my pants and I'm going to use it if I want to. Like, it's just, it's like one of those really stupid things where it's like, we should have fucking figured this out in the 1970s when everyone was fucking all the time. But no, we just sort of like diddled and daddled and just enjoyed ourselves. I really think when we think about like the amount of people who have grown even in the last 50 years, contraception has to be something that we're modernizing to be able to allow people to enjoy sex without extremely adverse emotional and chemical effects, specifically women, and then taking some of those things and putting on fucking men so that they have to fucking deal with some of the things. So it's not just like, oh, fucking Becky makes me wear a condom when we fuck, and I don't fucking like it, man. It just doesn't feel good. Why don't you just get on the pill so that we can, when we screw, it's fucking good, man. Like, right. I think there's got to be also, and this is also, it goes into contraception. We have to. Yes, statement. Yes, that is 100% accurate that way.
I mean, I know a certain Mary that might disagree with that 100%, but
she's sticking to her story, Brad. We don't know. We really don't know.
Sure.
And her buddy, I mean, her beau Joe is a supportive cuck who just takes it, and he's
It's very complicated.
I fucking hate myself for saying that, by the way. I hate that term, and that's also, I was going to say simp, but he's not a simp. He's, something else.
It's something.
It's something else. He's a fictional character. That's what he is. I think we also have to figure out something to do with sort of abortions and making, the ability for someone to say, I don't want to have this pregnancy anymore, to be a lot easier and not so emotionally traumatic. And then also fucking modernize this country's ability to understand that abortions are in fact a positive way of helping communities that way. So that's my soapbox moment for tonight, Brad. That's what I would modernize specifically.
Sure.
I think if people could have sex in a safe manner and not be so scared about getting pregnancy, we would not be so tense. And I also think people wouldn't kill each other so much if they could just fuck more. But
That'd be nice. Sure.
I'm also kind of like, I think
who would have the energy, really?
Who would have the energy, right? If you could feel like you could have sex safely and you weren't going to get pregnant, and then you also weren't going to be worried about STDs and everything else. If we could make sex safe, and we could make sex enjoyable for all people involved, then why the fuck do we need guns? Why do we need anything else? And people can just be like, oh, it's just so nice, right? That's what I would love to modernize personally. So thank you for giving me.
Fair.
Welcome to my TED Talk. So I
fully agree.
Yeah. What about you, Brad? What sort of are you going to say, like seat belts or belt buckles or glasses?
Get rid of all the butter. That's not more butter. So probably like the structure of how money is transferred. Like literally the concept of money is dumb.
It's extremely dumb.
Especially when it's fractured almost by country to country. Some countries, share a bit, but essentially currency is a very fractured, broken, dumb system that could really use a little bit of modernization. Whether that's like a cryptocurrency sort of thing with a physical manifestation of some kind that we could all get behind, or some other system. I don't know. There's a bunch of options or ways you could go.
Well,
not back to the barter system, because that adds all kinds of other complications.
Yeah.
But like one currency that like everyone could just deal with, and we could start to even out that whole system and simplify it a lot.
So how do you solve? And again, I was doing a lot of reading the last couple of weeks, kind of talking about like Biden's, sort of wealth tax and all of these crypto people who are like, well, it's not going to affect me because there's no way to track cryptocurrency. So you can just say, oh, I don't have this money anymore, right? Like you can just say, oh, I lost my key, so I don't have the money. And there's no way for them to hold you accountable. Like I think crypto is a great concept, but there's also so many loopholes in the ways in which, like, how do you tax people who have millions, if not billions of dollars in cryptocurrency that they can just constantly be moving and sort of showing there's no way to constantly say like, well, it's in this bank, so we know it's here, so we can go and we can grab those assets. Problem we got to solve.
Yeah, you would have to. I mean, there's a couple of ways you could build if we're doing it cryptocurrency style.
Can we just time out real quick?
Sure.
Can you see Jeremy's comment right here? Like, this is the ultimate troll. This is the ultimate troll here.
It wouldn't surprise me if Buttercoin already exists. There's a coin for
a coin for everything. Yeah.
But yeah, if we're going for cryptocurrency, you could have a semi-centralized currency.
Sure.
Or a currency where it's distributed originally from the government. So everyone can track it, and there's ledgers and stuff that are public because that's generally how those things work.
Mm-hmm.
But you could only get the coin originally from a central source. And so it would be trackable enough for taxation, because you could tax it at the point of creation, essentially.
Okay, I like that.
As opposed
that makes
to transfer. And that avoids things like getting taxed for the same thing over and over again and stuff like that. Probably causes other problems too that will have to be worked out. But I think going at least closer in that direction would be helpful, sort of globally, to unify the systems.
So when we're thinking about sort of like the gold standard or like a federal bank sort of setting sort of cost that way, you think that creating a cryptocurrency that sort of stays solid, right? How many dollars, or how many points, how many butter coins are we creating to allow for currency to flow in a good sort of manner? And then do we allow more butter coins to be created so that we can avoid recessions, so that we can fuel an economy, so we can help with a global pandemic? Like at that point, how do we sort of shift things around?
Well, for things like inflation, it's actually simpler in at least most ways because since it's digital, you can just add a decimal place. You don't have to print new currency. You know, inflation went up 3% this year. We got to print more coin. Like it doesn't actually change anything. Just the cost that people will be paying for things might go up and down as the economy does, but the way inflation works would be very different.
Okay.
Because there's no requirement to print more currency ever.
But there still is like there still is an energy cost in the sense where it's like we still have to solve the issue about like how do we actually mine the butter coins, right? Like there still is that problem with this in terms of like we're not offsetting how the money is created, because the mining of any sort of cryptocurrency is the same complication and environmental impact of literally having a printing factory to print coins and dollars and shit like that, right?
Sure.
It's complicated.
We might have to move to anarcho-socialism before we can move to a decentralized cryptocurrency.
Let's get there, Brad.
To work. You need a lot less of them too.
Yeah.
Not so much money needs to flow.
No.
It's complicated.
It is a little complicated.
But the fact that it's so ridiculously complicated is part of why it needs to be modernized.
Yes.
It doesn't need to. It shouldn't be as complicated as it is now.
No. But that's the issue that we have to kind of figure out. And again, Brad, here we are at the end of our time. We've learned a lot. You've made some enemies. You've set out on you've set out on a course to change history. And you've
they'll be sorry in 2028.
People will be very, very upset that they did not listen to me when I said, go out to your yard and start burying butter right now, because you're going to want to have it after 2028. Brad, as always, this is an absolute pleasure talking with you,
a good time.
Enjoying ourselves, having a grand old time. Thank you everyone for participating, for talking with us, for engaging with us. I know that I love seeing people having a fun time while Brad and I are talking about stuff.
She says that now.
She says it now.
She's worried about the new world government that I'm going to be implementing.
I think Jen wants to get involved in the politics. I think she's a political climber.
She's probably good at it. That's not a bad call.
Yeah. No. I would love to have Jen in the cabinet as a second in command, a secretary of something. She'd be fantastic. She'd fucking iron fist, Thatcher-esque, with a heart of gold.
Great, sure. That's a great analogy to go with. Let's go with Thatcher. Wonderful.
Brad, is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to say to the people before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. I think that's about it. I got all of the anti-butter stuff out, so that's fine.
What's going to be funny, Brad,
margarine stocks are going to go through the roof.
They're through the roof already. People are already going that way. People are going to be talking about your hatred of Brad. Excuse me, the hatred of bread. You do not hate yourself. Nobody hates you. But people are going to be talking about this butter thing for weeks now. It's going to be a thing.
It's not even the weirdest thing about me. Don't
it's
even
not.
worry about
it's not. It's so good. All right, you all. Thank you all for coming. You're all beautiful people, and we'll see you around next week.
See you next week, everybody.
Bye.